And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, and now it's a movie Chewsday. A movie Chewsday. Until a movie Chewsday.
Yellow, and welcome to Movie Chewsday, the day where we talk about news, trailers, and movies. Now, wait a second. Listen. You hear that? It's nothing. No dogs. No dogs fighting behind me. No dogs chewing on anything. They're locked out, okay? Out of the room. I love them to death, but I swear, I think they just like to wait until I'm either playing a game or recording some videos, and they just start acting a fool. But not today. That's not happening. At the very least, you'll hear scratching at the door, but they're fine. Don't worry about it. So, let's get into the news segment of the show. Not that much news from when I was checking. There was a lot of Spider-Man stuff, you know, where it's like, hey, would you like to see more of Spider-Man Homecoming before it comes out next month? There's a lot of that. There's a lot of like Wonder Woman facts and stuff, and which I kind of pulled some things from there. But for the most part, it was a little slow with the news. But starting with some important stuff, Adam West passed away recently at age 88. He had a short battle with leukemia, but he ended up passing away peacefully, surrounded by his family members. So, rest in peace to Adam West. I'm sorry to hear about that. You know, I'm sorry to the whole family and friends and all. That's a big loss. It's always horrible to lose your loved ones. I guess that's a good way to go out, you know, being surrounded by your loved ones, your family and stuff like that. I still don't know how I want to go out. I know that I want to go out in my sleep like most people do, but I don't know if I want to be alone when I die or if I want to be like surrounded by people when I die, because I don't know if I want to be surrounded by them, because then, you know, they got to deal with losing their loved ones right in front of their face, you know what I mean? And I don't know if I want them to like deal with that kind of trauma. I also kind of don't want to die alone in my sleep, because then there's a high chance that my body won't be discovered for a while. So I'll like, you know, get like a smell and everything, and my dogs will probably eat me because they got too hungry and nobody was around to feed them and stuff like that. So I don't know how I want to go out. You know, I think about that a lot. It's very morbid, but I don't know. Recently, I've been thinking a lot about death past couple years, so I kind of have a feeling I'm gonna kick the bucket pretty soon. But I don't know. Anyway, shouldn't talk like that. But anyway, it's ain't about me. It's about Adam West. There's not really much that I can say about him, like as far as the movies he's been in, because I've only known Adam West as Batman and the voice work that he's done in cartoons. Yeah, I remember watching him in Batman, which was great. It was kind of weird at first because I'm pretty sure my first encounter with Batman was the 1989 movie with Michael Keaton. And so then like when I actually sat down and watched the show with Adam West and Burt Ward, you know, running around punching people and they got wham popping up on the screen, I was just kind of looking at it like, and I remember being like, is this a joke, dude? Like, come on, man. Like, what is this, you know? Because I'm used to seeing Batman, like, dark and brooding and killing people and shit, you know? I wasn't used to him, like, meanwhile, atop the Umbrella Factory. So, but yeah, the show ended up growing on me. I always used to watch it at my grandma's house. It was great. And yeah, I remember him from doing lots of voice work. He's got a very recognizable voice. So like in I know he was in an episode or two of the Batman animated series, which I watched a lot. I think he was the Gray Ghost, if I remember correctly. So that was pretty cool. I remember like hearing his voice and being like, why does he sound so familiar? And one of my brothers had to tell me that, oh, that's Adam West. That's the Batman who does the wham, you know, thing like that. So that was cool. And then obviously I know him from Family Guy as Mayor West, which I always thought was pretty funny. That was a weird character in that show. But yeah, like I said, it just it sucks, you know, him passing. It kind of makes sense that I don't really know a lot of other things that he did, because as I was like doing a little bit of research on him, it did say that he had a hard time finding work after Batman because he was kind of getting typecasting and shit. And so that was how he kind of like made his way into just doing more voice work, which I think is awesome. I wish I could be a voiceover actor. And I think one of these days I'm going to put like a demo tape together and start shopping it around to see what happens, because that is one of my dream jobs, is to just be a voice actor. That'd be great. But anyway, rest in peace to Mr. West. Let's all throw our thoughts and prayers to his family and his friends and stuff, and wish them well. And that was courtesy of the Hollywood Reporter. That was where I read about that whole ordeal happening. Moving on, sticking in the DC universe. So I got something to clear up from the last show, and this is courtesy of the Ray and Jay podcast. Ray Carcillo, who is a very big fan of the DC universe, he and his co-host Jay, or Jason Finelli, but they call him Jay for short. They were talking about Wonder Woman, basically, and Ray was talking about the actress Gal Gadot, and I was just like, why is he calling her Gal Gadot? Like it's Gal Gadot, you know, like that's how I heard it. I can't remember where I heard that from, but I had heard that was how her name was pronounced, was Gal and Gadot, like the T was silent. And I remember being like, that's pretty cool that her name is Gal. That's a nice strong name for her, right? So I just kept calling her Gal Gadot. So they were talking about it, Ray and Jay, on the podcast, and Ray was like, he kept calling her Gal Gadot, and he was like, by the way, it is pronounced Gal Gadot, and she fucking hates when you call her Gal Gadot. She says he was saying how she was saying that like people are pronouncing her name wrong, and she doesn't like it. It's pronounced Gal Gadot. So my apologies, Miss Gadot. It is Gal Gadot, not Gal Gadot. I really miss the days when actors would like have stage names to like, you know, kind of make their names pop a little more, or at least just be easier to spell or easier to remember. Like, for example, Mark Vincent, aka Vin Diesel. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's times like these, and it's not just the actors, but it's the directors and shit too, where it's like, it's times like these where I wish they would just have a simpler stage name for me to pronounce, because I'd be struggling trying to pronounce these names, man. But you know, it's all good. Anyway, sticking with the whole Wonder Woman news, like I said, a lot of the news articles that I was reading over the week was like a lot of Spider-Man and Wonder Woman facts and stuff like that. So one of the things I stumbled across is that the cast of Wonder Woman were who was it? It was I read it on Screen Rant, but they got it from Bustle.com. And I guess they were the cast was doing an interview for Bustle.com, and they ended up reading some tweets or comments that people were making about the Wonder Woman movie. They were reading like troll comments, right? And the cast was reacting to what the trolls were saying to them on like Twitter and stuff. So I watched the video, you know, and you know, it's their standard shit. You know, people just be like, her lasso sucks, and you know, we already have a Superman, we don't need her, and her powers are garbage and all that stuff. Just talking like mad shit on the movie and the actors playing the characters and stuff like that. And the cast were responding to a lot of that stuff, and it was very tame, you know, like they were just kind of like joking around with it, just like, oh, you know, like these people have way too much time on their hands, and you know, they were kind of like getting a little snarky with them back, which, you know, which I liked. But all in all, it was a cool thing for them to do. But you know me, I wish like actors would do that, just more like in a more raw fashion. Like I would love to see Gal Gadot just put out a YouTube video going down their list of Twitter comments, just trolling her and shit, and just be like, okay, fucking Beaver Killer 928 telling me that I fucking suck ass. Like, fuck you, you know. I would like some shit like that. But you know, I guess that's why I'm not famous, because I would definitely do some shit like that. Not only would I respond to like the fans that I had, I would respond to a lot of the trolls as well, you know, because you just gotta, I mean, I thought that you could ignore them, but you know, you gotta kind of put them in their place. You know, they need to. It's the only way to like get them to stop. There was an incident that happened, I want to say a couple months ago. There was this one girl over at IGN who I got mad respect for. Her name is Alana Pierce, and she does like YouTube videos on the side as well as like videos for IGN and shit. I don't know what she did to piss off like this one particular person, but like somebody like left her a comment or something, and like I guess like threatened her and said like he raped her or some shit like that. He said like some real fucked up shit to her, and she ended up like contacting like looking up this shit, like looking up this person's information just off of his screen name or something. She ended up finding him, got his information, like his phone number, and like called his house or called his mom or some shit. Like I don't know how she got this information, but she ended up like getting in contact with his mom and showed him like, or showed her what her son had wrote to her about like threatening to rape her and shit, right? I don't know what happened, what came of that thing. You know, the mom probably like laughed it off or some shit like that. But the fact that she went through all that work to like kind of like put this dude on blast, I thought was pretty awesome. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's better things that she could have did with her time, but I mean, sometimes like I said, sometimes you just gotta put these motherfuckers in their place, because you know the trolling thing is getting out of hand. I got friends that live that life. They like to troll and shit all the time, and it's gotten to the point, dude, where I was like, I can't even have a fucking conversation with you, because I don't know if you're just trying to get a rise out of me or what. Like it's just, but it's gotten to the point I can't even like talk to people anymore, because they're just so fixated on this whole trolling culture. You know, it went from being funny and innocent to just downright annoying, you know. So like, I don't know. Like I said, I wish that there would have been like more of a raw response from these actors responding to the trolls, but you know, I guess we can't all get what we want. You guys should make me famous and I'll do it for you. So, you know, that's not gonna happen. Anyway, moving on. This courtesy of Screen Rant. Owen Wilson confirms that Shanghai Dawn is still in the works. Now, it's been a while, so I'll remind anyone who doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. Shanghai Dawn is the third movie in the Shanghai franchise. So if you remember the movies Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights, well, they're going to be doing a third movie called Shanghai Dawn. I don't know, like, if it got put on the back burner or what. This is like the first time I've heard about them doing a third movie. Wilson was saying that it's still in the works. Like the original writers / creators of the franchise are like currently writing the script for Shanghai Dawn. What are their names? Miles Millar and Alfred Go. I'm gonna assume that's Go. But they're currently like working on a script. And then supposedly a guy named Jared Hess is going to be the director. I don't know who this dude is. I looked him up, and the only thing that I recognized that I actually watched in his filmography was Napoleon Dynamite, which was a pretty funny movie. So at least we know that the movie will still be funny like the previous movies. Hopefully. And I guess like, cause Wilson's running around doing the whole tour to promote Cars the 3, cause that's gonna be coming out this Friday. So he's running around doing that, and I guess he was saying that he's down to do Shanghai Dawn. It's just got to like line up with his schedule. He's already talked to Jackie Chan, and Jackie Chan is like, he's down. It's just got to line up with his schedule. So there's a matter of getting the script written. There's a matter of getting the crew together. And there's a matter of working it all around Owen Wilson and Jackie Chan to get together and make the third and probably final movie in the Shanghai trilogy, or soon to be trilogy. This is good news for me because I like Shanghai Noon and Shanghai Nights. I'm going to assume Shanghai Noon did good because they immediately did a sequel, which was Shanghai Nights. And then I'm going to assume that Shanghai Nights didn't do that great because the third movie didn't come out right away like it usually does. But then again, Rush Hour 2 was a really big hit. I think it was even bigger than the first movie. And it took a while for them to do Rush Hour 3. So maybe everything is just going according to plan. And, I mean, that's great. As long as the movie's getting made, that's great. You know, you want to take a little break off, you want to take a little time, that's cool. You know, you can do that. But I'm still looking forward to it. I think I like the combination of Wilson and Jackie Chan. That's a really good pairing on screen. So I look forward to seeing those guys come back. What was his name in that movie? I know Wilson's was Roy O'Bannon, and then and Jackie Chan's was like it was like John Wayne, but it wasn't John Wayne. It was like Chon Wang or something like that. So yeah, that's really good news. Hopefully all works out and goes according to plan, and that movie can come out in like the next year or two. So, you know, hopefully it's not sitting on the shelf for too long. Sticking with Screen Rant and scripts for movies, or just writing for movies in general. Mark Hamill believes superhero movies need better stories. Now, he's not like hating on the superhero movies. He thinks they're fantastic. He enjoys them just as much as anybody else does. But he's kind of just being like, you know, all the gimmicks and shit are getting kind of old. They're only going to take you so far. It's time to like do some meaningful stories, you know. It's time to like, you know, focus on story more, you know, get more interesting stories involved, which some movies have been doing. Like Logan's one of them. Logan is one where it's a pretty like grounded story, you know, pretty heartfelt and shit. Wonder Woman kind of touches on some things in that movie, but for the most part, it's another origin story movie. I get what he's saying. I completely understand. But the problem is that it's a double-edged sword with these superhero movies nowadays more than ever, just because they're getting more and more comic booky. Like the earlier superhero movies that were coming out, they kind of like tried to do their own thing, where it was like how these heroes would exist in real life, you know, and how they would react, and how people would react to them in real life. So it was a little better to kind of like touch on some more deeper storylines, you know, like how X-Men did with, you know, with the whole like prejudice and shit that they were going through for being mutants. But nowadays, like the movies are getting so much closer to comic books, to the point where they're pretty much taking the pages of a comic book and putting it onto the movie theater. And those stories are like really campy and cheesy, and they're kind of built around just being like a whole big serialization, you know, where they just continuously keep on going. So they have like little simple stories. They inject some serious points here and there, you know, like Civil War was one of the movies where they kind of touched on some serious points, you know, like dealing with casualties and shit around the world. It wasn't just the Avengers running around destroying shit and saving the day and they walk off into the sunset and everybody's cheering for them. It was like to the point where people were like, hey man, you're saving the day, but you're also like fucking blowing up buildings and raising up the fucking property value to where we can't afford our houses and shit. So, you know, insurance is is through the roof. So, you know, they were touching on some shit, but they're not like going fully deep into it. They're still trying to hit that family friendly, like comic booky type feel, you know. DC, you know, we talked about it last week, where they're kind of like hitting that balance of being real and not real, but they kind of like go full comic book in the end. So, but like I said, it's a double-edged sword basically, and especially now that they're getting like a lot more of these outlandish characters like Wonder Woman and Thor and shit, and like Doctor Strange, I said it before and I'll say it again, those characters need an origin story. They need to be explained as to how they exist in the world and are able to do the shit that they do. You know, it can't just be this simple thing anymore where it's like, I got hit with gamma rays and now I turn into a big green hulking monster when I get angry. You know, it's like, it's not that simple anymore. Now they're going into like fucking Norse mythology and Greek mythology and shit, and it's like, oh, you know, Zeus made us, he built us from clay, and we became Amazons and all this other shit. You know, it's like, you got to explain that shit. Now, maybe you don't need to have a whole movie focus around the origin. Like, that is starting to get a little out of hand. Let's like kind of just dial the origin stories down to like a flashback, you know, or maybe like during the opening of the movie, like the opening credits, you can kind of like explain who the character is and where they come from and how they got their powers and shit, and then just jump into a more legit story for the movie. The other thing that's kind of fucking it up too is that you have like these big ensemble movies like Avengers, and then Justice League is getting ready to come out, and you can't really focus on a single character anymore, and it's really hard to like focus on one big cohesive story and be all like serious about it and shit. So it's just, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. It's a very tricky thing to do, but I completely understand what Mark Hamill is saying. And I think one of the ways that you can start telling better stories in these superhero movies is you just need to go back to telling a singular story for a movie and not do this whole, this movie is the first part of the story and this and which leads into this next movie, which is another part of the story, and that leads into the next movie, and it just keeps going and going and going for the next 8 fucking years, and we're still sitting here waiting for the fucking Avengers to get together so they can stop Thanos from getting the Infinity Stones and taking over the goddamn galaxy. So yeah, I'm sorry, but I understand you, Mark Hamill. You know, you're the man, so don't forget that. But anyway, I think that's it for the news. That is it. We're gonna get into the trailers now. Already lost it there. So the trailers, movies that you want to see, excitement, anticipation, trailers who filled with actors, entertainment on the screens that you want to see. Tell me, what are the trailers that I have seen at the movies? I guess you could say it's really one trailer, because there were many trailers that I watched, but not that many, because I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, we are slim pickings for trailers going on right now. Here's the thing, because we're going to get into it in the movie section. So, like, there were some trailers that I watched, but I can't even remember what they were because I was so, like, well, there was something that happened with the movie that I watched to where I completely forgot the trailers that they showed before it. But if I can remember, I'll get into that. But when I was leaving the theater, I saw this big like display with this movie called 47 Meters Down, and I've seen that display before, and I was like, I need to look up that trailer and see what that's about, because it looks kind of cool just based off of the display. You know, it was a shark movie, and I kept forgetting to do it, and then walking out of the movie, I remembered that display. Like, I saw the display and I remembered it again. I was like, I'm gonna talk about that movie this time, because fuck those fucking trailers that they showed before the movie that I had watched, that we will get to in a little bit. So anyway, the trailer that I watched, courtesy of YouTube, was 47 Meters Down. It stars Mandy Moore, and it is about 2 girls who go into the shark cage because they want to do like the whole thing where they put the cage in the water and the shark swims around them and shit. Is that called shark diving, or is it just like a shark cage or whatever? I don't know what it's called. It's some stupid shit that I wouldn't do. But these 2 girls go in a cage and they're like, oh, oh man, look at the shark, look at the great white, it's so big, it's so ferocious, man, it's so crazy. And the shark does this stupid shark thing that stupid sharks do, where they just swim around, they bump the cage, and they try and eat the cage because they see the humans in there and they want to eat them because for some reason they think the humans are seals in a fucking cage because sharks are stupid assholes. I'm sorry, I really hate sharks. But so they're in a cage, the shark's doing his thing, they're looking around and everything and all excited, and something happens where the cage ends up detaching from the cable that it's suspended from, and they fall deep down into the water, or deeper into the water, down to the ocean bed or seabed, whatever body of water that they're in that has salt water. They go down to the bottom and they're trapped. I don't think they have walkie-talkies. If they do, they might be out of range. But like, so they're trapped underwater in a cage, and the fucking shark is swimming around. So they're all like trying to figure out how to get out of the cage and get up to the surface and get on the boat and swim away or ride away on the boat and never do that stupid shit again. But they can't because the shark is swimming around. So like, they don't want to get eaten. So anyway, the premise sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty interesting. I want to check it out. Looking at the trailer, I kind of am going in with, like, you know, tamed expectations, because the movie doesn't really look that great, but I like the premise of it, if that makes sense. And it makes me want to see it even more, because the last time I felt that way about a movie that dealt with the shark, it was The Shallows, and The Shallows ended up being one of the best movies I had seen last year. So I'm kind of hoping that when I go see this movie, which comes out this Friday, I'm hoping that that happens again. But we'll have to wait and see. But regardless, I want to go see it because fuck sharks. I'm always down to see a movie where a shark has a very high chance of just meeting the most grotesque ending it could possibly have. You know, I want to see another oxygen tank fly in the shark's mouth and somebody shoot it and explode his head all over the water. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I want some shit like that. It doesn't need to be that exactly, since it's already been done, but I just hope this shark meets a very gruesome end. And if you are PETA or any kind of like animal, like, you know, white knight running around here being all offended about that shit, I'm sorry, but I fucking hate sharks. They suck, and I hope they all fucking die. Yeah, so that's the movie that I plan on going to see when it comes out this Friday. Although, whether I'll actually go and see it is another question, because Cars 3 also comes out this Friday, and I want to see that too. So we're kind of at a crossroads here. Maybe I'll try and swing it and see both, but I got some things planned for this weekend, so you know, we'll see what I can do. I am the movie god after all, so if anyone can do it, it's me. So yeah, 47 Meters Down comes out this Friday, so look forward to that, hopefully on the next Movie Chewsday. And now it's that time again where we gotta discuss some movies. A movie. It Comes at Night. Now, I need you to just chill, okay? Just roll with me for a second, because I promise after this it will all make sense, but I need you to go on this ride with me just for a little bit. So It Comes at Night, right? That movie. So there was an event that happened this past weekend, and it like led into this current week, earlier in the week. There was an event, and it was for video games. It's called E3, Electronic Entertainment Expo. And in layman's terms, it's just a big ass like convention where all these game developers and publishers come out, and they all meet in LA, and they just have like these big ass elaborate press conferences where they tell you about the games that they've been working on and what they got in the works for the current year and the coming year and for years to come. They show you like the games that they're making and all this, and they just make all these little announcements and shit. And they do it for like the press to report on. They do it for the shareholders to reassure them that everything is going fine at the company and people are excited for all this shit. So don't worry, you're gonna make all kind of money with us and all this other crap, right? So one company had a press conference and they were showing off this racing game. And it's like a racing simulator game. So it's known for just having like cars in it that just look like they look real. Like you look at the game and you're like, that looks like an actual car. So let's say like if a fucking Tesla is in the game, you look at the Tesla in the game and it looks exactly like the Tesla would in real life. It's crazy. It's very fantastic. And the cars handle as real as they look. So the developers say. I don't know. I've never drove a Tesla. But anyway, they're showing up this game, right? And every time, this is like the 7th game that they've done of this franchise. And every time they show off a new game in the franchise, you know, with the cars, they always have a car on stage. Sometimes the car is just sitting there. There's times where the car rises from the stage. There's times where the car will lower from the ceiling onto the stage. I think one time somebody drove the car onto the stage. There's all these different ways that they just like show off a car, right? So this time they got the car on stage, but you can't see it. It's like in a box or whatever, and you can't see it. So the guy comes out on stage and he's like, hey guys, you know, I'm happy for you guys to be here and I'm excited to show you this game. And, you know, we made this deal with Porsche or Porsche, whatever the fuck it's called. But, you know, we made this deal with Porsche and we got their cars in our game and they did us an even bigger favor and they let us put their new supercar that they made into the game. And you guys are about to see it for the first time ever, like the actual car, like no public eye has ever seen this car before. This is the first time this car has ever been seen outside of the Porsche building, right? Like he just does all this build up to this car. And like, I like Porsche, or I like Porsche cars, whatever. I don't know what it's called. I've been calling it Porsche my whole life, and apparently it's Porsche, but whatever. We're just gonna say Porsche for now, unless somebody proves me wrong. But anyway, I like Porsche cars, okay? They're nice looking cars for the most part. But they usually have the same basic design that they've had for years, right? So this dude is like building up this whole thing about being able to see this car like for the first time ever outside of the factory, right? So he's going through this whole spiel and I'm thinking in my brain, holy shit, like, did they actually redesign this car enough to where you can barely tell it's a Porsche? Or, you know, or is it just going to be the same shit that they've always done, right? But I'm building up in my head thinking that this is going to be like a drastic change to the overall design of the car. Kind of like when Chevy have re-released the Camaro. I can't remember what year it was, but like it was a completely redesigned car. It was like, you could tell it was a Camaro, but like it was a new looking Camaro, right? So I got this whole thing built up in my head. I'm ready to see like just the craziest car ever. Like I'm ready to see my next dream car, right? So he does a whole spiel. They drop the curtain or wherever the fuck the car is in. It was in a box. They drop whatever the car is in. They shine the lights on it. And it's a fucking Porsche, okay? It's the same goddamn car they've been making for years, okay? And he did this whole build up to this thing like it was just gonna be this thing that I was gonna blast my fucking nut all over, and it was just a basic ass looking Porsche like usual. That right there, my reaction, my anger, the sheer disappointment that I had in that whole unveiling is exactly how I felt when the credits started rolling for It Comes at Night. Okay? Like, pissed. And it wasn't just me either. It was like people in the theater were just as confused and shocked as I was when that movie ended and the credits started rolling. Like there were literally people just sitting in the theater just being like, dude, is that it? Like, are you serious? What the fuck? Like, really? Is that all? You know, like it was crazy. Okay. Now, for those who don't remember, like going back to that first trailer that they showed for the movie, and that was the only trailer that I watched. I didn't watch any other trailers after that. I'm talking about the trailer where they have the red door and they do that slow pan to the red door, and you just kind of hear like the voiceovers where they're talking about, oh, you know, like, did you open the door? And they're like, no, I didn't open the door. It was already open. It's like, oh, it was just somebody had to have opened it. Blah, blah. If I find out you're lying, you know, like they do all this shit, right? And they do this big ass build up to this red fucking door. And the trailer just ends with saying it comes at night, right? Like, I'm going off of that trailer. And this whole time I'm thinking like, oh man, dude, like a new horror film. Like, what are they going to do? Like, what's with the red door? Why is it red? What's behind the door? Why is it so important that it stays closed? Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? You know, I'm building up all this shit in my head. So I go see the movie, and it's like, it's not whether the movie did or didn't live up to or wasn't accurately comparable to my theories of the movie that made it disappointing, because I've been to movies before where I expected one thing and it was something completely different and still ended up enjoying it. So that's not the problem. The problem is that the trailer is false advertisement. Okay, the movie does not live up to what the trailer tries to sell you. Is the problem with the movie. So it's one of those things where it's going to be really hard to like explain the likes and dislikes of this movie without spoiling anything or ruining anything, because I'm sure that there's going to be people out there that go see this movie regardless. Like, they'll look at this or they'll listen to this and they'll be like, fuck you, Chew, I don't trust you, I want to see this movie, I'm going to go see it on my own and get my own opinion. That's fine, dude, go right ahead. Just don't say I didn't warn you if you end up not liking this movie. But it's gonna be really hard to talk about. But yeah, the movie just, it doesn't live up to what the trailer sets up. And it sucks because what the movie ends up being is like, the trailer sets up the movie where it's like you're going into the horror genre again. It's like, are you gonna make a new type of like subgenre in horror, or are you gonna like use like a tried and true thing and just kind of like flip it on its head like that movie Raw did, right? And what happens in this movie is that it ends up just being the same old story that you've been seeing for a long ass time. It is a tired ass story. It's been done numerous times, and it's been done way better than what this movie has done. And the part that sucks the most is that even though it does kind of follow this same like storytelling and same like structure and shit, and the same message that it's trying to give out, even though it does all that, it's like little snippets of things that are added to the movie where it's like, okay, you could take this to the next level. Like, you could do something different right here with this element that you just put in, right? But it just never goes anywhere. And that's what it is for, like, I want to say, I don't know if it was an hour and a half or 2 hours, but like, the movie is just a whole bunch of like build up to nothing. It's one of those things where it's like all this tension just like gets built up. All these pieces get put in place where it's like, oh shit, like it's going to go down when this fucking revelation happens, right? And it just never happens. And when the revelation does happen, it's like mellow as fuck. It's one of those things where it's like something happens and, you know, it just cuts to the next scene and you're just like, wait, we're not going to explore that. We're not going to like address what the fuck just happened. Like, what are you talking about? You know, like, so there's shit that happens like that. There's going to be a term that's thrown around a lot to describe this movie, and or a phrase that's going to be thrown around a lot to describe the movie, and that's going to be the whole, you know, the real fear is the unknown, you know, what you don't know about, you know, the less information you have, the more creepier it is, because the more it builds up in your brain, you know, your brain is going to make it a lot more worse than it actually is. And it's just like, I get what you're saying, but this is just downright laziness, in my opinion. You know, like it's one of those things where I just feel like either you just don't want to say what the fuck you're trying to say, or you just don't know how to say it, so you choose not to say anything about it. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It was really, really disappointing for me. What was the other things that happened that didn't like? Going back to the whole fear thing, as far as like if the movie's scary or not. The movie isn't scary. In my opinion, it's not scary at all. It is guilty once again. There's another movie added to the list of cheap jump scares. Like, and I mean, there's jump scares where there's like shit just jumping out at you, and then there's jump scares where it's just like a calm, normal, everyday routine thing happening, and the next thing you know, it's like bam, you know, this shit just happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's, oh man, it's just, oh. Man, I thought I was over it. I had time to like cool off, and now it's just all just drumming up. All these feelings are coming back to me. There's lots of questions that are brought up in the trailer of the movie, like, you know, what's up with the red door and shit like that. That gets explained. There are questions that get brought up in the movie, or that you'll come across in the movie. Some of those get explained, other ones don't. And if they did, I missed it, because it's not one of those things where the story is just like spoon fed to you. It's one of those stories where you got to kind of pay attention to what people are saying, or to how people are acting, and kind of piece things together to figure out what's going on in the story, which is fine for the most part. But, you know, I don't need that character to be like, okay, sit down and tell me what exactly is going on. I don't necessarily need that, but, you know, a lot of shit, there's also a lot of shit that just gets left up to interpretation. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, you want to be like, well, what about this? And they're like, I don't know. What about it? Woo! You know, shit like that. I fucking hate that. That's a pet peeve of mine in movies. Don't set up this fucking story and then have a damn plot hole, and your whole thing is like, well, what do you think happened? Like, no, I don't want that, okay? You're telling a story, finish your story, don't leave me hanging here, all right? So, there's shit like that. But like I said, some things get answered, some things don't. Some things just are just out there, and I don't know what the fuck happened. If someone out there who watched the movie knows, hit me up, and let's have a discussion, and we can talk about it. But like, for the most part, there were some things that I was just like, this needs to be explained a lot better. So I just have to leave it at that. As far as what I liked about it, I mean, the movie is not terrible. Let's just go ahead and get that out right now. I was disappointed, but it's not like the movie is just unwatchable. It's just, the trailer is just very, very misleading, and that's what you need to know going in, okay? Whatever you were expecting for this movie to be about, you're probably going to be wrong, and you will probably be just as disappointed as I am. Or you'll be like, oh, I thought it was great, you know, fucking, you just don't know anything about art, or whatever like that, you know, who knows? But as far as things that I liked the acting in it. I thought the acting was very solid. Joel Edgerton was fantastic. Christopher Abbott was great. Joel Edgerton is one of those people where, like, I've seen him in a lot of movies, and at the very least, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, that's that guy from this other movie that I watched, you know. But this movie right here is like one of the first times where I'm just like, dude, Joel Edgerton's on my radar now. Like, you're the shit, okay? You got something going for you, and I'm liking what you're putting down. You know, you're showing some depth. You know, you're getting that fucking range going on right now. So I was digging it. But yeah, him and Christopher Abbott, like, the movie mainly like focuses on these two people, and, you know, you really kind of like feel for these characters. You know, you see the good, you see the bad. You know, there's times where it's like, is this person a fucking asshole, or is this person just like being a human being, you know, a rational human being? You know, there's stuff like that, and they really like have it come across in the movie which I really appreciated. So like acting is top notch in my opinion, all around. But those two, like the two leads, like they did a fantastic job. I was very impressed with them. But let's see what else. The setting, like the location where they were, like the house in the woods and shit like that, like that was cool, man. Like I didn't mind it. The world that they set up was interesting. Like I said, it was one of those things where like they don't really necessarily explain exactly what's happening, but you can kind of like piece shit together if you just kind of pay attention and listen to what's happening. Yeah, I like the whole setting. It was very gritty, and people who know me know that I like my grit. You know, I like my grit in my movies, so that was all well and good. But other than that, man, like I don't know, dude. I was just so disappointed with it at the end of the day, man. Like and that brings us to the final verdict, because this has gone on long enough. As soon as I can get to the right page that has it, the final verdict is that the movie was not terrible overall. It's just, like I said, the trailer is it's false advertisement. Like you look at the trailer and you look at the movie, and it just kind of feels like you're looking at two different things. It's crazy. It's definitely not worth watching in theaters, in my opinion. What else? As far as like when it comes out on video, I'd say at the very least rent it, but I would even go as far as to say wait for that shit to come out on Netflix or cable and then check it out and tell me what you think. But if you were like me walking into that movie thinking like, oh man, it's gonna be about this, or they're gonna do this, oh my god, what are they gonna do? Like, I mean, you might be as disappointed as I am, man. I don't want to put you through that. I don't want to put you through that pain that I went through. You know, because I just want to see a scary movie. But yeah. So that's it, man. You know, it comes at night. Yeah. And going back to what I was saying in the trailer section about how I was so like pissed that I completely forgot about the trailers that they showed before the movie. The reason why is because the movie was produced by this company. It's A24. I'm pretty sure that's a production company. And it's the same production company, if memory serves me correct, it's the same company that produced that movie Raw that I went to go see earlier in the year, which I thought was fantastic. It was the same company that did that. And a lot of the trailers that they showed before the movie were by the A24 people. So I'm just kind of like, hey man, like Raw was great. So if you're telling me to watch this movie about a dude walking around in a fucking bed sheet, you know, just staring at people off in the distance, that was what I remember from that one trailer. But it's kind of hard to forget. But as far as like what the movie's about, I have no idea. But they showed that movie, and they showed another movie where it kept flashing like the A24 thing on there. So I was just like, all right, man, like you guys like knocked it out of the park with Raw, so you know, and hopefully you're gonna knock it out of the park with It Comes at Night. So you know, like I'll go check those movies out. Now I'm just kind of like, I don't know, man, like A24, y'all kind of hit and miss right now. I don't know if I want to check out the rest of the shit that you got, at least not in theaters. You know, I might wait till it comes out on video, give it a little rent, you know what I'm talking? But yeah, maybe it's my fault, dude. Maybe I just walked in to that movie with very high expectations. I will admit to that. I have very high expectations for It Comes at Night, and I got let down hard, like real hard. So, man, and it just makes me think too, because The Mummy had came out that night as well, and I was kind of like going back and forth on the way to theater, like which one I should go see. I was like, dude, should I go see The Mummy with Tom Cruise, or should I go see It Comes at Night, a horror movie that is like most likely going to do something new and exciting? You know, it's going to be like the next It Follows for me, you know what I'm saying? And I kept going back and forth, and I eventually just obviously settled on It Comes at Night. And then, like I said, man, the credits started rolling, and I was just like, fuck, man, they got me. It's like, I could have went to go see The Mummy. And The Mummy's getting horrible reviews. Like, I think they even said that movie is officially a flop, you know? But I still would rather go see that movie. I still would have rather gone to see that movie knowing that it was a flop than go see It Comes at Night. Just so. I don't know, man. Maybe I'll go check that movie out too over the weekend because I still want to see The Mummy regardless of what critics are saying. Which is why, you know, like I said, I ain't trying to spoil this movie for you because you might still want to go see it. You know, maybe you're going to probably read some reviews or whatever or hear some people be just like, oh, it was the best movie ever. It's fucking masterclass horror. You know, horror has never been this good since fucking Halloween or some shit. You know, who knows? But anyway, I'm rambling on. That's it for me. You all take it easy. Videos are being posted as we speak, man. I'm posting the videos. I'm trying to catch up. I'm getting geared up for episode 30. I'm trying to get some shit planned out. Got things going on. Got things in the pipeline. Shit is in the works. Okay, you know. So just be patient. I need you to be patient. Thank you for your patience. Until then, just continue to listen to my soothing voice as I rage out over little simple things that happen in movies, but they're not simple to me, the major. But anyway, that's enough of that. That was Movie Chewsday. Now is just another day, and I'm out.
And it was just another day, yeah.
Just another day.
Until I went to the movies, and now it's a movie Tuesday. A movie Tuesday. Until a movie Tuesday.